Hey guys, what is up? It is your boy Credenda, and I've been asked day after day for an item build for Season 11 Jayce, and I'm here to provide that for you guys today. As a little aside at the beginning of the video, make sure to join my Discord for updates. Follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Credenda, Instagram at CredendaLol, and Twitter CredendaLol as well. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So, been asked this question a lot. Season 11 Jayce build, Season 11, like, what are we building? What's the move, guys? What are we going with? And I have to say that while the jury is still out and while there's a ton of cool and interesting builds to itemize for, I would like to share with you guys what I think is the best build for Jayce at the current moment. It's kind of a scaling build, actually requires tier, which is, if you've watched any of my content, like, you know I'm not a big fan of tier. You know I don't like giving up the early damage, the early snowball, because I feel, or at least I felt, that Jayce was a champion that you really needed to snowball with really early in order to make work. And if you couldn't snowball early, you were just going to fall off. There was no way you were going to deal damage compared to the other champions in the game late game. But I feel like we found the solution. We found the answer. Eclipse is a godsend. New Muramana is a godsend. And the interaction between Black Cleaver and Aery is something to be something not to be trifled with. So I'm just going to go straight into the item builds and tell you guys a bit of my thought process and what's going behind that. So you can now start with tier. Tier is a 400 gold item. You can start 2 pots as well. So you can begin stacking it extremely fast. I will say that it does give a little more pressure to your opponent because you don't have as much early damage compared to them. However, you have a lot more pokes. So you have a lot more throughout the lane type poke damage. As much as it's not going to do, or it's not going to do as much damage rather, but you're going to have a lot more resource to do the things that you want to do, right? I would say the weakest part of this build is this tier start, right? It is this levels like 1 through 6, 1 through 3, but it pays off. It actually pays off. Jayce actually scales well now. In terms of your first item that you want to complete, what I like doing is I like sitting on tier and I like going straight into Eclipse. If you guys don't know what Eclipse is this new item that builds out of Dirk. It builds out of Vamp Scepter. It gives 10% Omni-Vamp. It gives like 60 AD. And it gives this unique active, and it's a mythic item as well. It gives this unique active where if you hit someone with more than one ability, or like 2 attacks I think it is, you not only get a shield and movement speed, but you also deal a percentage of the target's max health, right? And it changes the shield strength and the shield cooldown changes based upon ranged and melee, which is really cool for Jayce, right? Because the cooldown and the shield, or the cooldown rather, for ranged champions is 12 seconds, but for melee champions is 6 seconds. But what Jayce can do, and what I find is really interesting, is that you can kind of mix that up, right? If you're auto-attacking in range and you switch to melee as soon as it procs, you're going to get that melee cooldown. You're going to get that melee shield, which makes it really, really good on Jayce, right? Additionally, since it's a mythic, it enhances your other items, so it gives them 4% armor pen for every legendary item you complete, which is just so good. Sitting on the Dirk as well, sitting on the Vamp Scepter are very, very good power spikes while you're on your way to building your Eclipse. So you remain and you get a lot of strength post Dirk. I would say one of the strongest points of this build is tier Dirk and then tier Eclipse, because you have the sustain, you have the mana to throw out your QEs to continuously poke, yet you have the damage and the Omni-Vamp to sustain through all the mana you're getting. So it's a match made in heaven, really. The second item I build is Black Cleaver. And I've been debating this right now, and I'm still trying to really think in my mind what is better, right? Finishing the Muramana or finishing the Black Cleaver second. The reason I finished the Black Cleaver second in this game was because this game I was testing what I now know to be probably the best build, at least until they fix it, which lies within the interaction between Black Cleaver and Aery. So Black Cleaver and Aery together, and I found this on the Jayce main subreddit. I don't intend to claim credit for it. I found this on a post on the Jayce main subreddit that Aery, once you get Black Cleaver and if you have Eclipse, will proc Eclipse on every Q you hit, every QE. It doesn't matter if you hit him with a second ability because the Aery and the Black Cleaver somehow proc the Eclipse. And I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to show you, I have a list of clips kind of set up to illustrate how strong this really can be and how strong a 3-item power spike really can be. So Black Cleaver is a must, but also finishing your Muramana is a must because they also changed Muramana. They removed the contingency for it to be a targeted ability, and instead it applies to all abilities. That means the extra bonus damage that you're getting from Muramana is now applying on your QE poke, which is just so strong. I can't stress how strong that is, especially with the Eclipse proccing, especially with all that, right? So after those 3 items, it becomes very flexible, right? Like you can get Serpent's Fang if they're building shields, the item that shreds their shields. You can get Slaridian's Grudge item, which slows on your QEs, gives you percentage armor pen, right? You can get more survivability. You can maybe even purchase Mod, Death Dance, right? But this is the core. This, I feel, is the strongest core for Jayce. It allows him to actually scale like an insane champion. It allows him to become a champion in this game. And it's, like, I think the first time since I started playing Jayce back in Season 6 that he legitimately is a threat. Like, he legitimately is a strong fucking champion in the mid and late game. And I'll show you why. In terms of runes and why it's so good, we've talked about the Aery interaction, right? The Aery with the Black Cleaver, if it's a proccing QEs or Eclipse on every one of your QEs, it's just too strong to go otherwise. The other rune I was toying with, the other keystone I was toying with, was the Phase Rush. The Phase Rush did feel really good, especially into certain matchups. But I feel as though as long as this Black Cleaver Aery interaction exists, where you can proc Eclipse from just a QE, it's just too strong not to take Aery. It also helps to offset a little bit of the early pressure you lose from going the tier early. You're not going to have that longsword or that Doran's Blade or what have you for that extra poke damage, so Aery does really shore up some of those weaknesses in a way. Obviously the Manaband, because if we are going tier, the more mana the better, the more damage on the Muramana, the more AD, etc., the more resources you have in your kit. With new Transcendence, if you guys don't know, Transcendence has changed in this new patch and made it so that at level 5 you get +5 ability haste, at level 8 you get +5 ability haste, but at level 11 you get 20%. So every takedown you get after you hit level 11, you restore 20% of the remaining cooldowns of your non-ultimate abilities, which is huge for Jayce, because Jayce doesn't really care about his ultimate cooldown. He primarily cares about the long cooldowns of his regular abilities, his E on both forms, right? His Q on both forms, things like that. So that adds not only ability haste, but an ability in which through fights you can get multiple QEs off, you can pick off targets that you otherwise wouldn't, and you can win 1v1s, especially if you get reduced cooldown on your melee form abilities that would proc Eclipse that could save you, or otherwise you would be dead, maybe even capitalize on the Omnivamp that Eclipse gives you, you know, all these things. For this tree, I have been going Scorch for a long time. For a long time, I did think Scorch was the move. It did give a lot of early pressure, but I'm now of the opinion, especially with the tier build, that Gathering Storm is just too strong. Like, you actually scale. And on a champion that actually scales now, I feel like Gathering Storm, as soon as you hit that, like, 20 minutes even, 14 AD is really good, but 30 minutes is when you just continue to scale out of control, and your QEs just become so strong. So strong. In this precision tree, I actually made a mistake here. I do want to be taking the Presence of Mind every single game. The reason for this is they changed Presence of Mind recently. Not only does it give 15% of your resource upon takedown, right, which allows for resets in fights, and it's self-explanatory the value of that, right? It also gives you 1.5 to 11 scaling mana regeneration whenever you damage a champion for 4 seconds. So I'm oftentimes getting 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 mana from this rune. In lane, out of lane, like, it is just so good for mana regeneration, for restoration, and it just feels like you're just this unlimited QE machine. It really does. Not just from this rune, from the combination of everything, right? The tier and the Manaband and all that good stuff. But it does really feel like you are just this fucking monstrous train, right? For the second option, if they have a lot of CC, definitely go the Tenacity. Tenacity is just too good not to take. If they have a lot of tanks, definitely go the Cutdown. The Cutdown will shred right through all their health. It will deal a ton of damage. And then Coup, if they don't have either or, maybe even Bloodline I could see. I could see a lot of different options, honestly, in terms of viability, because if I'm being honest, the Coup hasn't really felt super impactful. I guess I just take it more so because if they are below 40% HP and you hit them with that QE, it does pack a decent wallop. But I could see a different option for the secondary of the precision tree. Double adaptive, of course, because we are going the tier. We need the double adaptive. For a while, I was running the attack speed. But it's just, you're missing out on too much damage if you go tier first. So double adaptive and then armor MR, depending on your lane matchup. So that's the core. And now I'm going to show you guys the interactions, I guess, that I've been working with. So there it is. There's the first interaction. I QE her and my Eclipse procs, right? And here she comes up again. I Q her. I switch to melee form and my Eclipse procs again with the 6-second Eclipse cooldown. I hit him with a QE again. And how am I not running out of mana? I'm not running out of any mana. There's no resource problems whatsoever. And it's just Poke City. It's just Poke City. We get an easy kill, Eclipse procs again, and there's more damage. Here's another example. Regular Q. Hit him with it initially. Does about like 40% of his HP, right? With just regular Q. And then Eclipse procs and does up to half of his HP. We QE again. We don't get an Eclipse proc because we didn't swap to melee, right? Because there's a 12-second cooldown on ranged. But we still got so much absurd damage off, right? And this is just a 3-item power spike. Hit that again. 12-second Eclipse cooldown, but I proc the Eclipse, and I'm dipping. Just damage, 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 guys. Damage. Poke, poke, poke. Clear out the wave. And she comes up to contest the Baron. I have the wave pushed up. They try to do it within plain vision of us. And I QE. Otherwise wouldn't kill her. But then my Aery and my Eclipse proc and kill her. Just insane. This is a good example of a late game build, right? So we have the 3 items. Maybe not exactly late game, but we're ending the game. And I would argue in this fight that I would not have won this game or this fight if I did not have these items at my disposal. If I was still on Lethality Jayce patch, where I have my fucking Ghost Blade, I have my Dust Blade, I have my Edge of Night, or like Ghost Blade, Dust Blade, Black Cleaver, or what have you, right? I would not be able to do the things that you are about to see in this clip. So I proc the Eclipse on her, get the low cooldown, right? Get the damage off. Q, auto, standard Jayce stuff, right? We're walking back. I'm now half HP. Regular Jayce probably dead here. Regular Jayce probably has to run here, right? But my Eclipse is up. I jump back in. I proc my Eclipse. The Eclipse saves me. I'm now Omni-Vamping, right? Old Jayce would be dead to minions. Old Jayce would be 100% dead to minions, but I'm Omni-Vamping. I'm restoring. I get the QE off on her. I proc the Eclipse again, right? Very key things. I'm getting more Omni-Vamp, getting more Omni-Vamp, getting more Omni-Vamp, right? And then we can re-engage. Another Eclipse proc. The shield I need to survive the Taric. Get the E. Survive the Taric. We run this Taric down. We kill him. We end the game. 3-item power spike Jayce. Think about that. 3-item power spike Jayce now is an actual champion. He's an actual scaling champion. You don't just lose the game if you don't get some early kills. It really is, regardless of your KDA, you are strong. Like, what is my KDA here? I'm 6 and 8. I'm 6 and 8 and 9 with 170 CS at 27 minutes. I am by no means fed. I am by no means the strongest character on this map right now. But because of my build, I feel that way. Because of my build, I have options. Because of my build, I can do plays and do things in this stage of the game that Jayce has never been able to do. And I think that's the reason why I love this build so much. That's the reason why I love this build so much. And is the build I'm going to be running a lot come season 11 and starting in season 11. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it provided some clarity or gave you an idea of what to try here in season 11. Not to say that this is the only build, but I do believe that it is one of the best builds, at least for my playstyle of Jayce, right? My playstyle of Jayce is very non-tilt, very play it till the game's over, look for QE poke, look for those options, and this build just gives me all of those options and is very, very strong. Again, follow me on my socials. If you guys haven't seen, I recently released a combo sheet document. I'll actually, let's see if I can pull that up for you guys right now. So here's my combo video, guys, or a combo sheet. It's essentially a sheet of combos from the basic building blocks of Jayce to advanced combos to one-trick pony combos, with video examples to boot for each and every combo. Completely public, completely free for you guys to use. Check it out. It'll be in the link in the description below, as well as if you type !combos on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Credenda, you can also find this and you can consume it at your own leisure. All of that good stuff. But I just wanted to share with you guys what I had been finding for Jayce in this new patch, and I hope you guys have fun on the Rift. Love each and every one of you.